What's poppin', people? Found some information out on Mafia States of America. Patrick Bet David was talking about it on his podcast. Let's get straight into it.
Mafia States of America, which is this whole project that we've been working on. I think, why don't we get into that a little bit? Do we want to finish with that, or do we want to get into that? We can.
Don't bury the lead.
Get right into it.
Don't bury the lead. Go right into it.
I say we get into it. So, look, you know, Michael and Sammy. Okay, this sit down. Everybody kept.
First things first, no one made more money than Michael Franzese. Maybe Al Capone.
Asking me, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? Is this not going to happen? Is it eventually going to be where these guys are going to sit together? I'll tell you my story of what happened behind closed doors. You've been a project, obviously. You've been the director of the project from beginning to the end. Sammy and I had a conversation 2 years ago when Sammy first got out of jail. And I say, hey, Sammy, how you doing? He says, you the guy that interviewed Michael Franzese? I said, yes. He says, what the another interview was this? 2.5 hours. He just went trashing Michael. And I'm like, listen, Sammy, all I want to do is, why don't you and I get together? I wouldn't get together with nobody. So anyways, going back and forth, a month goes by, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. We follow up. I said, why don't I just come by and you and I sit down and visit? No. Great. So every time, no. 9 months later, he agrees. So we go to Phoenix, me and Mario.
It's one thing I don't get, yeah. Sammy the Bull's a snitch. So this whole prolonging, like, you don't want to talk to people is just long. Like, that's what you do. You talk.
Yo, hey, let's go have a sit down with Sammy. And he said, I want you to meet me at this location. We go to this one location. Guy comes outside. He picks us up. We walk all the way to the back of the building. You walk in. At the end of it, Mario's like, listen, it's getting a little too deep of a walk. It's getting darker. We get all the way to the end, and then boom, there's Sammy the Bull Gravano. We sit down. Couple hours, we're talking. You know, he shares his thoughts. He says, let me think about it, what we're going to do. Then we finally do the interview. It pops, 12 million views. Short clips, everything together, 25 million views.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of the interview, I'm like, you know, Sammy, you know what would be great? What? Be great if you and Michael sat down together. What did you say? Me and Michael? Never happened. I'd never. It's okay. Now I go to Michael, and I present to Michael. Michael says, I'm not going to do it. So they've gone back and forth, calling each other out. Behind closed doors, I'm trying to see if we can make this happen or not. I understand why they wouldn't want to meet with each other, because two different families. Finally, they agreed, and we met in a undisclosed location, security, the whole nine. You couldn't find where we were at, you know, where we can't even tell the location right now. But we went to this place. We sat down. How many hours of footage do we have, by the way, of them talking? Actually,
Oh yeah, of them, the two of them talking.
15 hours, 16 hours,
Yeah, 16 hours.
16 hours of.
16 hours. So here I am yesterday expecting a hour and a half sit down, and they've got 16 hours of a conversation. That's got to be a serious thing.
Them talking.
Just
so,
them.
So imagine like a 16-hour podcast is what it is. So we came back, then we have Giuliani. How many hours was Giuliani? Three hours?
Three.
At his place.
No, that's 3 hours on camera. You guys chatted for like another 2 hours off camera.
What are how crazy were some of the things Rudy said, Joe?
Honestly, it like to the point where we're concerned if we could put it out.
Some of the stuff we don't know if we can put out of what Rudy said. Some of the stuff we can. I know a lot of people are going to say, Pat, put the whole thing out. We definitely cannot put the whole thing out. I can tell you that. We own the footage. We can't put it out.
Not on YouTube.
Yeah, probably not on YouTube. And by the way, some of the stuff that Michael and Sammy said we may not be able to put on YouTube. But a lot of people have been asking about when is this coming out. And, you know, Chaz Palminteri, legendary actor, Bronx Tale, all of these things.
Killed it.
He's also in it. He absolutely crushed. And by the way, he was a writer. So he helped write.
He did, yeah.
A big part of it with you. You guys were co-writing together.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So it was a great experience. The question everyone's asking is, when is this thing coming out? We let the teaser out, which people are furious.
Well, are you ready to announce the release date? I can tell you when it's ready for delivery.
I don't know if we're going to announce the release date yet. I think we maybe let the trailer do
Fair enough.
its part by Friday. But I can say...
You want to tease the release date?
It ain't coming out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay,
I can tell you that
go.
for a fact. It ain't coming out for 4 to 6 weeks. So hang
So at the moment, we're at 4 to 6 weeks.
in there. There's a lot of pissed off people right now on Twitter, YouTube, everywhere saying,
What are they
why
pissed
do you
off
do
about?
this to us? Why isn't it coming out tomorrow? It ain't coming out for 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But it's going to be coming out soon. And the topics are some topics for about 4 to 5 weeks, we're thinking about doing 2 episodes every week for 4 to 5 weeks. The world is going to stop for 4 to 5 weeks. Each week it's going to be 2 episodes will premiere. And they're going to be glued to the screen. People sitting down together with popcorn. Remember how we did The Last Dance?
I was just going to say, this is very eerie, The Last Dance and meets the Mafia right here.
Completely unscripted.
Yeah.
When just to be clear, when Pat's talking about writing, we're talking about narration. We're talking about writing the ins and the outs. There's absolutely nothing that was said. There's nothing that was that was orchestrated here, man. This is as real and unscripted
Zero.
as it
Like
gets.
there was not one part where we said, "Hey, Michael, can you say that one more time?" "Hey, Sammy, can you say that one more time?" Like if they're going back and forth with each other and they were having a discussion about something, "Hey, can we get another cut on this?" "Sammy, say that one more time."
None of that. When's the last time they even sat in a room together?
Well, can I can I tell a story about what almost happened, or do you want to save it for behind the scenes?
Which part? Which story?
When we got there, everything was set.
Go for it. You tell it.
Man.
You tell it,
dude. So here we are. We've flown a 30-person crew halfway around the world. All right, and Pat's got $100,000 worth of gear and an entire crew set. We got there 4 hours early. We took this castle and we turned it into a set, and then we're waiting on set, waiting for talent, and they were still negotiating whether or not they were going to do this past call time. They were supposed to be on set
in a separate room,
9 a.m.
The two of them are
with
talking.
Michael's team and Sammy's team and me and Mario.
So Michael's team and Sammy's team. So I ain't now, but I sort of like Columbo and Gambino.
I mean, you're a business guy, so you like this stuff. My balls would have been in my throat. I got $200,000 worth of loss sitting 50 yards away.
It's not done, by the way,
dude. What did I tell you?
I was like, "What are you doing?
Like,
what are we doing here?"
I was like, "What? Did you not have a contract? What the hell are we doing here, man? Like, did you just jump out of an airplane and hope somebody threw down a parachute? Like, what the hell happened here?"
Like crazy. Yeah. And by the way, this entire time I'm talking to Rudy Giuliani. We're going back and forth. Rudy's pissed off. We're trying to make it work with Rudy.
He was supposed to fly.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about that later, but that's a completely different thing. But
and Rudy's the guy who brought down the mob, right? That's the reason that you wanted to have his insight.
Rudy has to be a part of this. So Rudy, you have to realize, man, outside of everything that people say with Rudy and Trump, prior to Rudy and Trump, Rudy was like the alpha man, a top 10 alpha man of America, mayor of New York, G-Man award, whatever.
Say what you want about Rudy. The man saved New York City. I lived through it. The man saved New York City.
Well, he was a hero in the 90s.
4,000 people got arrested. 4,000 arrests.
4,000.
How many people over 100 years? 8 got over 100 years. Some ridiculous number, like what this guy did.
Yeah. But back to my original question. When's the last time Sammy and Michael actually sat down and spoke?
But here's what you have to realize.
Never.
They've never spoken.
The last time made men sat down face to face to do something like this, you know when's the last time that happened?
No.
It's called never.
Wow.
This has never happened. And if it's happened, it's behind closed doors. Never with cameras. It's the first time ever.
Yeah.
Where and by the way, you have to realize, there's a group of people that are saying Sammy's going to...
Before this goes any further, this is crazy. So we've got two made men going to have a sit down on YouTube. What a day and age we live in. It's nuts.
Win the sit down. And there's a group of people that are leaning towards Franzese. Matter of fact, we have a website, Mafia States of America, a lot of unique merches coming out. A lot of people are asking about autographs. We're going to be doing this poster, Mafia States of America, signed by Michael, Sammy, limited edition. It's probably going to be only the first 100 or maybe the first 500 that we'll do. That comes out where you're going to be able to put that on the wall. There are some that are saying Michael's going to win the sit down. There are some that are saying Sammy's going to win the sit down. And matter of fact, if Michael or Sammy I got to make this call to them as well. We may bring them on the podcast pre-release. Individual, we got to do it individually, honestly. We may bring Michael, and we'll have him 1 week. We may bring Sammy the next week on a podcast like this.
Wow.
To discuss their experience before this going live.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be sick if we do that.
They're pretty heated up, man.
Make a note of that. Make a note of that for me to make the phone call afterwards.
But what was nuts was like the history, more than like the history of America. More than anything else, like you don't even have to be a mob fan. You don't need to have to be like a mafia.
That was going to be my question, actually. Is how does the normal person?
The stuff that they talked about Hoffa, about Kennedy, the stuff that they talked about. I mean, I don't know how.
Speaking on Hoffa, I was watching a Michael Franzese video. I think it's one of his most recently uploaded ones. I think it was actually on a film review. But he started to talk about information he had on Hoffa's death. I'll leave the link in the description. But yeah, some interesting knowledge about it.
How deep you want me to go into it, but like the Joe Bonanno book, like this dude, it would, like as a history buff, as a political aficionado, man.
Mario
like,
Cuomo came up. Mario Cuomo came up by both Giuliani and Franzese and Gravano.
Well, he's the Italian governor of New York.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
he was-
apparently what everybody said, the affiliation with the mob. So Mario was apparently connected. Giuliani said, I won't release, I'll let them tell the story and what it was. But it was very interesting on the angle they took and how they felt about Andrew, how they felt about Mario Cuomo, what role he played in the streets of New York, the level of respect. Very, very unique angle that they took. And then there was a couple parts where, they talk about how all the industries that were a part of that was illegal, now they're multi-billion-dollar industries. You have to hear how they explain it, like how they trained the U.S. government to do it. Like they trained essentially. Their strategies and tactics are being used today by the U.S. government and are being used today by Fortune 500 companies. That's why it's called Mafia States of America, right? That the whole idea is we trained the Mafia United States. They were a part of it. Like even think about Bank of America. You know, Bank of America used to be Bank of Italy.
No.
If you go look up, did you know this or no? Hey, Kai, can somebody come up here, jump on Wikipedia real quick? Type in Wikipedia, Bank of America. Kai stepped out. If you can come.
I need to get that shit. Can someone step up? See about this Bank of Italy being the original Bank of America, please. Thank you.
Come up here. Bank of America, before Bank of America became Bank of America, was Bank of Italy. You have no idea.
No.
Type in Bank of America.
Hey, there's David.
Type in Bank of America, David. By the way, David, how you doing?
Doing well. How are
Doing
you?
good. All right, good.
He's been waiting for this moment for weeks.
No, man. David's
Time to
ever
shine.
since. Okay, go Wikipedia. Go Wikipedia. Go down to Wikipedia. Try to find Bank of America. Go lower. Wiki. Okay, good. Type in the Control F Italy. Okay, there you go. Right there. Right there. It shows right there. One branch of its history stretches back to Bank of Italy, founded by Bank of Italy from Bank of America, October 17, 1904. Bank of Italy founded the Bank of Italy in San Francisco in 1909. Bank of America. So the whole thing started off with them giving loans to Italians because back then nobody would give Italians loans because they didn't think highly of Italians. They thought like, there was names for Italians, just like there's a lot of different names
Yeah,
for
of
them.
course.
Same. So they started off supporting them, and in Bank of Italy.
This is
Bank of
early
America-
1900s,
Early
probably.
1900s.
Late-
It turned
late
into
1800s, yeah.
the monstrosity that it is today. So
Wow.
the power and the influence of the Italian community and the Italian mob is very much deep-rooted in the history of America the last 100 years. I mean, really. So,
Wow.
when this thing comes out, everybody's right now talking about, the biggest conversation is, will Michael's approach win or will Sammy's approach win? And there's a team Franzese, there's a team Gravano.
Two heavyweights. for
Two
sure.
heavyweights.
And what
They-
families
yeah.
are they with?
Colombo and Gambino.
Yeah,
Who's Colombo?
Franzese.
Franzese.
Okay,
Yeah.
Gambino.
And by the way,
Yeah.
Sammy was with, he was with Gambino, he was with another family.
Colombo wanted him, yeah.
And they kind of made the trade, and they said, hey, you ain't going to be able to work out over here. And they went to the Gambino family, and then obviously he became the underboss for John Gotti. So,
Can I ask you it's kind of a weird question, but it's in the light
Sure.
of The Last Dance, right? So, like I've seen Goodfellas, I've seen Casino. I've got who doesn't love these kind of movies, right? Obviously, you've. By the way, kudos to you. By the way, I mean if you guys understood what Gerard was doing. These guys sleeping on couches over here just to get this job
it was
done.
a whole team.
It's really
Value Team
impressive.
was
No, it's really
awesome.
impressive. But for sort of the layman, in The Last Dance mold. Is there a Michael Jordan of the Mafia? Who would Sammy be? Who would Franzese be?
That question was asked.
I'm
by-
opening
by
up a
Mr.
can of
Bet
worms here.
David
I get it. Who are these characters in the, if to use the NBA analogy, would you do something like that?
listen, I'll let them answer it because they actually addressed that question where, where Michael said, who was the greatest?
The GOAT,
Because LeBron came up and Jordan came up, then who's the greatest gangster of all time? And they were kind of going back and forth saying who it was, who it wasn't.
I'll give you one interesting one.
Yeah.
Rudy doesn't think it was an Italian. Rudy thinks it was a Jewish guy. Greatest gangster.
Which you know where that goes, by the way. That only goes one side on where this thing goes to.
Meyer Lansky?